building the business turns you into a different kind of human being.
Realize that failure is a part of the journey.
I think there's hope out there for all of us.
They say procrastination be the assassination of destinations. That's why we out here grinding with no association with haters and them other crabs trying to put us down. Pest badges in the house, boy, don't clown. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you dream of. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you.
Today's a big one. I've got Scarlett Nolen with me here today, representing one of the most established brands in the pest control industry with truly Nolen Pest Control. You built something that's lasted decades across multiple markets, across multiple generations, which is obviously super rare. So first, I just want to say thanks for being with us today. I know you have a busy schedule.
I'm very, very glad to be here, and I've been looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I always start the podcast out the same way. And your story is similar to most, but very different than most as well. Came up in a very large company that started way before you even thought about being born.
Yep.
But if you and I were a junior, senior in high school, who is Scarlett in high school?
Oh man, who was I in high school? I was I like to perform. I was very competitive. So by perform I don't mean in the arts. I mean academically. It was important for me to do well. It was important for me personally to try my hardest. I always wanted to try my hardest. That was kind of ingrained in me a bit. And I was probably more social than I needed to be for sure. I was kind of like friends with everybody. I went to a relatively small school, but I was friends with there was no like, oh, I just hung out with this group or I just hung out with this group. I kind of floated and a bit friends with every group.
Gotcha. I was kind of the same way. And I did a lot of sports, but I was also in chorale. So I like had a mix of friends. I sang
Yeah.
with a group and then I like played sports a bunch. So I kind of was like the floater as well. What were you grew up in a big company. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But like, what were the conversations like at the dinner table at night?
Oh, I love that question. So early on young, my dad loved a debate and he loved like the challenge of a debate and understanding us as children, our thought processes. So at the dinner table, he would throw out kind of philosophies or concepts and he would invite and encourage, hey, here are two sides of a challenge. And then where would you, and the right answer was always like a hybrid or a combination in between, right? But he really wanted to encourage critical thinking and questioning of things. That to him was a really important skill to have is you don't just take things at face value, you want to question and dive deeper. And he encouraged that from a very young age. What he did not do, which most people assume he probably did, he put zero pressure on me or to join the company in any way, shape, or form. It was a lifelong motto of his, do what you love and everything else will follow. So if you wanted to be an artist like one of my sisters, he was all for that. He really encouraged that. Whatever you wanted to do, he just wanted you to have passion behind what you did. So there was zero pressure to join Truly Nolen in any way, shape, or form. Some of us did, some of us didn't. And that was something that he was happy to. The door was open, but absolutely zero pressure to join.
Growing up, did you think you would join?
No, in fact, I thought I would do anything but join.
So where did you go from a college? Where did you go?
Right, yeah. How did I get here? I went to University of South Carolina for undergrad and had no intentions of joining the company at that point at all. In
What'd you go to school for?
Psychology. And
Really?
I trained to be a therapist and I went to University of Central Florida for grad school. I got my master's in marriage and family therapy and I had a short stint and worked with families that had gone through like extreme traumas for a short period. And still at that point, I was thinking about, there was no pest control was on my radar. I was planning on opening up my private practice. I built my website. I got my business cards. I was like ready to go. And there was a waiting period that when you're opening up your private practice, you kind of go through, you're waiting on the state a bit. And during that interim waiting period, I thought, let me just go fill my time while I have some time after grad school to go learn about my dad's company. Still no intention, like no real long-term intentions until I can get back to my real career as a therapist. And I just kind of day one went on a ride along. I'll never forget my first ride along. We went to like an extreme like probably the biggest bed bug case I've been to ever. Most extreme bed bug situation, day one. And then I kind of got hooked. I always say like I caught the bug. I kind of got hooked and just like one thing led to another. And I put being a therapist on the back burner. And that was double digit years ago. So many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, my youngest brother, he went to be a therapist as well. He got his master's, graduated. He did it for like 2 or 3 years and just thought this is just not for me. Like he's solving everyone else's problems. He's like, I have too many problems myself and stressful job and didn't get paid very well for it. He's like, I'm out. So
Yeah, it takes a really special person. A lot of my good friends that I went to grad school with, they pursued that, and I admire them tremendously. But yeah, I kind of found a different path post grad.
yeah, so I'm gonna rewind a little bit now. Catch us up like how truly Nolan got started. And then we'll connect
So
the dots when you show up.
yeah, many moons ago. So my grandfather, Truly Wheatfield Nolen, was an serial entrepreneur. Like he said yes to everything, the opposite of finding your niche. He was coming out of the Great Depression, moved down to
Yeah, this
South
is like
Florida.
1938, right?
Yeah.
30, yeah.
Yeah, coming out of the Great Depression. And in South Beach was one of the first cities in America to actually come out of the Great Depression economically. And so that's where he was. He was doing home services from, can I paint your house, to, believe it or not, this was a real service, can I flush your toilets? That was like a real home service for those that lived on
Interesting.
like those that live on Star Island, and like that was their third home type of thing, and you need someone to run the plumbing. That was a service back then. And he would just say yes to everything. But the one thing that stuck, what makes me really love this industry so much, it was pest control. So regardless of the Great Depression or the economic times, no matter what, people don't want to live with bugs. So you might hold off on painting your home, you might hold off on upgrades, but you're not holding off on pest control. And it really underscored, and that's what like everybody that's in this industry should take so much pride in, is the economic stability of this industry. Especially we're kind of in on a little bit of, we never know what the headlines are going to be tomorrow.
Right.
Uncertain times, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
surprise to all of us every day. And being in pest control is something that I find tremendous, not only pride, but also like comfort in, because it's supposed, allegedly one of those unsinkable
Allegedly.
industries.
Yeah, because I mean, in 2008, when's the market crash? 2020, we go through COVID.
Yeah.
And plus, it came out of the Great Depression. So yeah, it's definitely, I would say, a recession-proof business. But again, knock on wood,
Knock on wood, absolutely.
because we don't ever want it, we don't want it to ever go away. So just gonna knock on wood just to be
Right?
safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great industry, and that's probably one of the reasons that it has lasted so long, because people just don't want to deal with bugs, and health-wise, you can't really live
Yeah.
with bugs.
So
Yeah.
becoming a part of an extension of the healthcare industry and like deemed an essential service, like that saved our butts, like at Truly Nolen, but I think the whole industry as a whole. But getting back to my grandfather, he started to, even though he was a serial entrepreneur, he honed in on pest control specifically, and down in South Florida. And my dad worked for him, but my dad had, truly, David Nolen was my dad. So he had a lot of different ideas of how to expand the business. He was more of that business visionary and had conflicting ideas of how the business should be run from his father. So he went out west to Arizona, started his own company, obviously made a few good decisions, thrived, expanded, and then years later was in a position to buy his father's company from my grandmother, his mother, after my grandfather had passed away. So my grandfather passed away, and my grandmother inherited it. She wasn't in a position to run a business. And so he was able to buy the business and then consolidate under one umbrella company as Truly Nolen America.
Hold up, quick pause. If you're on a pest control company or fertilization weed control company, you're not in our Facebook group, you're choosing the harder path. Every operator that's in there is skipping years of mistakes because people are actually sharing what's working right now. So stop trying to brute force your way through growth alone. Search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook or click the link below. And now let's get back to it. So at this time, he just in Arizona and Florida?
Yeah. So, well, no, he had expanded a little bit into California and Nevada, I believe, at this time. So he was really coast to coast, and what made it possible is he, along the way, got his pilot's license.
Hey, I'm getting mine right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think there's something about pest control and pilots.
It must be.
Something.
I just know that we have 20 markets at this point too, and I'm so sick of driving. I'm so sick of flying commercials. Like I burn way too much of my day. I'm like, I got to do something different. So I started like the journey like 6-7 months ago. It's been fun, challenging, but rewarding for sure.
Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. If you look at like the history of Truly Nolen, a lot of our branches are actually really close to airports for that reason. Like they're really
Imagine
close
that.
to landing strips. Like the physical
Yeah.
buildings, we've
Right.
evolved, we've evolved a bit, but the old school ones were really close to landing strips because my dad really prioritized like he was a master of managing his own time as he expanded.
I love that. Smart.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Smart,
So
very smart man. Yeah.
what year does he franchise, or does he do that right out of the gate?
No, he did that in the so domestically in the United States, in the 80s, I believe, and then internationally, he started a franchise in 1988. And the franchising domestically, he didn't really have, I think, a huge direction for that early on. It was a bit happenstance. He had someone interested. He had someone interested actually in Canada, and he said, "Sure, why not?" Internationally, he had a friend, a colleague that really had a vision for it, Jose Lutz, who took it internationally. He really took it there. Not a part of his initial vision board, if that was such a thing, in his era, but he really just envisioned United States. But Jose Lutz was able to take Truly Nolen internationally and make it that international franchise, that global force in pest control.
And what year? What year did that start expanding? So like 1988, 1990.
88 internationally.
88.
Yep. Yep.
And now you guys, I think I read over 50 countries. Is that right?
Yeah, a little higher than that, closer to 65. And
Nice.
so,
Well, I
yeah.
gotta ask ChatGPT to say you're wrong, ChatGPT,
Yeah, they
I was
have
trying
us wrong on a couple things, but
which is
yeah.
probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was scrolling through that, just trying to catch up where you guys are at today, which is super awesome, very successful. What you guys are doing, it's been fun to watch. And then so your dad starts, it's 88. And you come into the picture what year?
Gosh, that's a great question. I don't know. I like kind of formally joined the company a good 15 years ago, I think, maybe 12 to 15 years ago, somewhere in there. I worked in his office, kind of doing odds and ends and filing and faxing, and back when we had fax machines. But I really formally started, and I was I set up I went through our manager and training program, which gave me a really thorough I worked every single position from CSR to rodent technician to lawn technician, termite technician, service manager, branch manager. So I really worked sales. I worked every position. Struggled in some. I
What was your least favorite?
I have a lot of admiration for CSRs, and I always say that is a really tough position. You're on the front line answering all the questions.
Not all the good ones either, right?
Yeah, and, like, sometimes not with that field exposure, and anything can come at you. At least when you're in service or sales, you have maybe some time to do a little homework or prep before you meet that customer. You just never know who's gonna call you or what they're gonna ask. So and the multitasking that's involved, I have a lot of respect for CSRs. It took me a minute to learn our systems. I was a little slower on that
And
front.
what's your favorite? Besides where you're at today.
I know,
That
definitely
does not count.
termites. Well,
Termites,
definitely
really?
termite. I've always had a passion for termite. I find it I love the identification in the world of termite. I'm like, they're all termite. They're really predictable, really easy for me to identify in that space. But I always find termite really interesting. It was like just always like a puzzle, and spending a little bit more time at the customer's house versus like going to one or two customers a day in termite versus going to 10, 12 more on pest control. I appreciated.
That's awesome. And then what year did you move into a CEO role?
So 2019 was kind of like a transitionary year for me, but 2020, what a great year to
What a great year.
what a great
Yeah.
year, right? So I thought I'd really just jump into the deep end. 2020 was my first official year as being president, which was crazy because obviously we were going into COVID. We were all looking at the headlines in the same way. I had no special COVID knowledge. So I was writing the COVID like unknown wave just like everybody else, which in some ways put me on an even playing field as my colleagues, but it also gave just incredibly steep learning curve because like everybody, we were pivoting a lot of our systems. We're really known at Truly Nolen. We go in people's homes. We are old school when it comes to going inside people's homes. So that had a pivot in a real way as far as that contact. And we were really, one thing we were pretty set up for, we were already used to doing a lot of video conferences. So that one was pretty smooth for us. But thankfully, to our international connections, we really were able to get insights from our international Truly Nolans as because they were experiencing things just a tiny bit ahead of us.
Faster, yeah.
Yeah, and so we really dived into sanitization, and we were quick to secure PPE, which was kind of scary. It's funny to
Yeah, no one really knew what was going to happen.
yeah, like yeah. So we were able to secure PPE in a way that thankfully allowed us to still function and keep those that were in the field interacting with people um up to snuff.
Yeah, behind the scenes, what were the talks like at Chili Nolan during that time?
So early on, the
So like
first
March,
conversation, yeah, was well,
early
I
March.
ran the full game. I'll be transparent as I went from this is crazy, guys, like this is gonna blow over, just like mad cow disease. And then maybe days later, I was probably like Windexing my like chicken. I don't know. Like I ran the full gamut on a personal level.
Right.
But early on, from a business standpoint of view, we did some quick like war chesting. Like, so before we were deemed an essential service, we had some war chest conversations as far as what can we do to ensure that we can employ everybody. So our keep people safe and keep people employed were our two top quick priorities. Um, and in order to do that financially, because we didn't know if we were going to be deemed essential or not, like that was still in the mystery zone, we needed to make sure that we had enough cash to keep people employed. What can we sell in a very unknown time to keep our business afloat? Once we kind of strategized that war chest plan, then it just became a pragmatic logistics. And obviously, like everybody, as things played out and we were deemed essential, an extension of healthcare, that kind of floated away. Like the war, we no need for a war chest. We had a great year, huge rodent uptick
Everyone's
globally,
home.
nationally,
Everyone's seeing
globally.
bugs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone has
everyone's
extra money in their pocket.
yes, everyone was home, doing home projects, and we had a little bit of fall off with our commercial side of our business. We do about 25% of our business is commercial, so we had a little bit of uncertainty there, like with restaurants, of course. Um, but the rodent pressure over the past 5 years has just been tremendous. So, from a business standpoint of view, um, our industry has been great, and we've been riding that wave.
Where's your biggest market? Is that the Florida territory?
Yeah, so we do about 60% of our revenue in Florida, and we've got some really nice kind of holds in certain pockets. So Southwest Florida has always been a staple for us, as well as Southwest and Southeast Florida. And then I would say Central Florida is kind of our up and comer. We obviously have lots of competition. Where I live in Central Florida, so we obviously I see all of it. Florida has more pest control companies
I
than
don't know.
taxis in New
I'd have
York.
to it has to compete with Arizona.
Yeah, it's close. So Arizona's our other mainstay. Our home office is in Tucson, and so you can't go too far in Tucson, Arizona, without seeing a truly Nolen car. And I'm looking forward to Phoenix being our next big market in the next 5 years.
Cool. Yeah, because like just thinking about those two states in general off the top of my head, like during COVID, those two states were pretty quick to move. Like your governor did a really good job in Florida, in my opinion, got everything opened back up fast for everyone. So yeah, you guys were just happened to be in a really good spot. And Michigan wasn't the same. Michigan was very, very odd.
I couldn't imagine living in some of those northern states. I genuinely could imagine. I felt like we were blessed to have the access to like being
For
out
real.
in our yards and everything like that. We also operate in California, which they
Yeah.
lingered. I mean, that they really lingered in that confinement for such a long time. So that was a tricky
Over a
state.
year, for sure.
Yeah, they're
Michigan was very similar. Like we live on the Great Lakes here. They didn't even want us to go down on the boat by ourselves. It was strange. So actually, that's how our second branch got started. I'd never knocked doors before. I'm not from that culture. I've never done it in my life, but my back was against the wall. So I started going to Wisconsin, which is about 2 hours south of me. Taught myself how to knock doors, and that's just kind of how the model started.
wow. Way to pivot.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I
Yeah.
had to feed I got 3 girls. Had to feed my kids, so I had to do something.
Yeah. I love
And we had
that.
just went out for a long winter around here. I was like doing I had like a lawn care snow removal business back then, so we are doing snow removal at the time. Had enough contracts to get us through, and then like I saw the writing on the wall with pest control, and then I started going to Wisconsin, started knocking doors, and yeah, the rest is kind of history. That's when sold my lawn care company. We were relatively small at the time, and sold that and started over in pest control, and it's been going on our 6th year now, 20 locations, and we're growing strong. So it's been fun.
What's really crazy. Because I was reading a bit about you, and getting past like 20 locations is killer. Like getting past 3 locations is amazing because 3 locations, you can kind of still have a grip on things. But past 3 locations, it's really you gotta set up your systems, you gotta have process in place. You really can't manage 4 locations as a tight gripped manager. So I think that's just incredible to get past that threshold of 3. And then you find the magic of okay, I can multiply this out. And I always think of the book
Yeah, and I think like
multipliers.
every time that we open up a new one, it gets obviously way faster. We're better at it every single time. And I would say, yeah, like strategically, I think I did pretty smart. But I had gone through like a franchise. I hired a franchise company that taught us the franchise model, and I was thinking about going that route. And then I talked to a few people in the industry that you would know, and there's like, yeah, it's not a good idea. So I learned the model though. Like
Yeah.
I learned how to run multi-service unit locations. I was like, okay, I like the model, but I'm gonna keep it corporate. So that's what we did. And so but one of the things that I learned there is like keep my first 5 offices within driving distance. That's what they told me. So if I ever had an issue, I could drive 6 to 8 hours to get there relatively quickly in case something was on fire and I had to get there. So that's what I did. The first few were relatively close, hour and a half, 2 hours to 6 hours away. Then we just kind of scaled from there. But that was the first few. So I kept them pretty close, had to tighten it on those, like you said. And then, yeah, the hardest part after that, like I felt like customers was probably maybe it's different at scale, to your scale, but get customers seemed like the easy thing. But then getting the really good people to manage those locations was kind of a hard thing.
Yep. No, no, it's the same thing. 20 locations, 100 locations. We're dealing with the same stuff.
Right. So at your scale, is it easier to find people or is it easier to find customers? When I say people, like leadership team to run, execute those.
I would definitely say that the biggest challenge is finding the right people. They may have been successful at a different culture, or they may have been
Right, right.
in a different scenario. I sometimes find that they were really successful in a set of circumstances at a different company with different resources. And when they move locations, they may have either taken for granted some of their resources or not realized the foundation that they were sitting on. And then now in a new environment, some of those things that once came easy might not translate. So the people skills and just innate leadership and, what are your core values, those have to align. And then all the skill stuff and process you plug in. But yeah, finding people we're so spread out. So finding people with our value system and just that people leadership skills, that's the challenging part. And then
Yeah.
the
Do
customers
you
kind of
like do you
follow.
like to have those guys like come into the ranks and then move them locations, or would you rather hire someone from another company like you were talking about with that shows that they're really good and then put them in place?
So maybe this is controversial. I like a little hybrid of both because so ideally, like there's this kind of
See,
eighty
this was your
20.
dad early on asking you those questions at the dinner table.
Yeah, my dad would say, don't hire people from the outside because they come in with bad habits. Like you want to train them new. I would stray from that a little bit and say I like a little bit of a combination of both. Maybe like in an ideal world, maybe like an 80-20 or a 90-10. I love to promote hire from within and promote from within. You know who they are, they're already trained, you're already invested, they're invested. So it is a win-win-win and morale boost and creates a lot of opportunity. Having said that, when been around for almost 90 years like we have been, you want to be careful that you're not cross-pollinating. So you don't want to get too arrogant to say that another company or somebody else is going to come in and they don't have great ideas. Some of our best hires have been people from outside the industry that don't have biases or don't have years of bias that come and challenge things that have been status quo. So I like a little bit of combination of both. Um, and I think sometimes it does depend a little bit on what the position ultimately is going to be and what resources they have access to and what team, what other, what, p- like who's on the current team and how they're going to complement that team. So I look at it not just as a singular trait, but more in a system. How are they complementing a system that already exists?
Love it. I'm taking notes. I always take notes for myself. Um, Speaking of multi branches, talk a little bit about culture. Do you find that every branch has their own little culture, or do you try to keep the culture relatively the same from your experience of
Yeah,
how
no,
many locations do you have?
every branch has their own little culture. And
I
I love
agree.
seeing
Yeah.
I love seeing those. The more identity and independence sometimes those branches can have, a lot of times the more successful they have. We definitely have an overarching company culture and our core values and the spirit of our culture and what we want to see from what is the intention or spirit, but how people interpret that. Every single branch is different. Every single branch has its own little personality and quirks and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're at 20 locations now, and I feel the same way. Like they're all just a little bit different, but like I
Yeah,
said, the core values are the same. But
yeah.
they're some of them just have a lot more energy than others. Some of them are a little bit younger, some are a little bit older. So it's cool to see for sure. But I can still like when something's off, I can still feel it. And I don't know how to explain it to anyone over this podcast. It's just this feeling that I have when I walk in, and I don't know how to explain it. Do you find the same thing?
Absolutely. I totally know what you're talking about. Yeah, when the energy's off, when the culture's off, when something's broken, you can feel it. When things are jiving and they've got their rituals and they've got their, what do they do during Thanksgiving time? And um, oh, everybody knows, so and so always does this. They kind of have their their X factor and they've got their rhythm and things are chumming along, that's a great culture. But when things are fragmented and there's miscommunication, then you can kind of feel it and everyone's pointing fingers, and it's just not a good energy.
For sure. But we won't talk about the bad stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
do
We don't have that at our companies. I'm talking
No,
other
none of
places.
us do. It's just watch social media. It's all golden.
Yeah.
You've been obviously you got a massive company. What breaks from like that 50 million to 100 million plus?
What
And that's probably
breaks?
a hard, yeah, it's probably a
No,
hard
that's
question,
you
but
know what? I actually love this question. I just to kind of unwind it. I asked my franchisees this question, and I asked it in a different way. I said, "What breaks?" And this might be really relevant to a lot of your listeners. Is what breaks in your business first when you leave for a day? What breaks in your business first when you leave for a week? What breaks in your business when you leave for a month? What breaks first? And those are the things to hone in on. Those are your vulnerabilities. Those are the things that you need to find redundancy for. You need to multiply out, so your business can just continue to operate without you. Because as you know, with 20 locations, none of the 20 locations can be solely dependent on you. I mean, that
none.
you wouldn't get to
Zero.
20
Yeah,
locations
zero.
if any of them were dependent on you. And I think a lot of owner operators, that's the biggest challenge, is finding how to detach themselves from their own business. So 50 million to 100 million, every business is a little bit different depending on where their redundancies are. Some things that happen though, and like especially in today's world, are things like your IT debt. So IT debt, at Truly Nolen, we had a software that was very popular in the, I think, 80s, and that we lived with for like 30 years. And it was no longer really supported. And we had we had built up a lot of IT debt, especially, company has been around as long as ours. You build that up tremendously. So that tends to fracture. The other thing that tends to fracture is what works at 20 million doesn't work at 50 million, and what works at 50 million might not work at 100 million. And yeah, there's all these kind of benchmarks that happen. And sometimes you have to say, what is the priority? And how am I thinking about the company as a whole? And where can I find efficiencies? As much as we want to make things custom and tailored, we also have to find the balance between scalability. And when, where, and how you do that might just depend on your strategy, your differentiators, and kind of what your value system, I think, a bit is as a leader.
Yeah, I like that too. Anything outside of that you can think of that broke between, and I know it's a hard question, that broke, so because you had your tech, so which is good to keep an eye on. Talk about that real quick. How was that challenge? Did you guys have to switch like technologies, and what was that like? Because I couldn't imagine, like I would never even want to switch now. Like
I
just
know,
the
I
thought of it is
know.
like scary,
And you get deeper and deeper into it. And
right?
we were on the
Feel like
AS.
you're like golden handcuffs, like just
You
stuck
you
now.
really are.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
right.
golden handcuffs. We were using the AS400. So for those of you who don't know, it's like a black and green screen, and everything's very um old school feeling, if you will. I liked the AS400. I'm probably the only person in my generation that did. But it built a lot of IT debt, and that's just, I mean, you build the IT debt in your phone systems. Like every time you don't upgrade your phone, you're building IT debt, and you have to manage it, because what you don't want to do is take it on all at once. So you really want to be thinking 3 to 5 years out. What systems are going to be supported? What systems are going to need to be updated? And how can I plan so I'm not taking them on 1 year at a time? Because when you do have to make a switch, it's painful. It's going to take way longer than you could fathom, way longer than vendors are going to tell you it's going to take. And it's going to be a tremendous distraction for your business. It's all consuming. So I mean, we've done that just over time, and we try to just do it proactively, spend a lot of time shopping, spending a lot of time thinking about what's going to be right for us 5, 10 years out. Um, and what's right for you in the first, you know, million is probably not the same software support system that you're going to want for 20 mil, for 20 million or 50 million. And you have to think about different enterprise partners as you expand. And there's also just different options constant, like always happening.
For sure.
So
And that's so I talk about that a lot too. Is like I always see so many people in the groups like constantly want to change softwares like every year. I'm like, every software has its quirks, or none of them are perfect. Just stick to the one you're at, because like, operators want to change their business so much, and the business never just gets a chance to grow organically because they're constantly just messing with stuff.
yes.
Just
Yep.
stop. And it is a distraction to your team, like you said, distraction to everyone, and it consumes everyone for such a long period of time. But when you're thinking about these things, like you said, you don't make quick decisions because probably the board helps with this. But what is that process like when you say, "Hey, we have to make a big shift"? Like, what is that process like?
So it kind of depends what the decision is, but I have in the last 5 years, we've really shifted from a much more of a bottom up culture. So our feedback loop to the front line is
I
everything.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like our best ideas for 90 have always come from the front line. They've always come from I mean, that's always been the case. But what was important to me is that we really formalize those processes. So like nobody knows. Two people in my company know this. So you guys are gonna know this.
Yay. You guys hear
Yeah,
it first.
insider information. I'm forming an AI committee, and on that committee, we obviously the IT department that's their world, that's their expertise. But it's really important to me on that AI committee that I have representatives from operations, that I have representatives from the finance department, that you're getting a nice balance of perspectives. So whether you're acquiring a business, or you're making a really big strategic plan, that you've vetted it out through multiple people. Ultimately, you have to have an owner and a decision maker. I mean, you just have to say, you own that decision, you're the owner of that project, but making it a habit culturally to have a sounding board that can honestly give true feedback from multiple perspectives, I think has helped us make more intentional long-term plans and not just jump around or, you know,
Yeah.
put a
No,
snip
I love
snip
that.
in it.
Actually, yeah, this year, 2026, we're in, we did the same thing. We basically built out a board for ourselves, just an internal board, but it comes from like marketing, comes from sales, comes from operators. There's 7 of them on the board. And that way the decisions not just come from me. The
Mhm.
decision comes from the board, that because if I make a decision, it's just for the company, or if they make the decision, it's for the everyone that's involved in the company, not just from me. So we actually launched that this year, which has been actually really cool. Fun to see how they think. And I'm not involved, but we present the questions, they come back with a few answers. It's been really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think you're definitely ahead of the game because people can get people can grow without having that nice committee. And I always encourage people, the more diverse of thought you can have your committee, whether it's a formalized board, an executive team, or just like a group of like coffee people, I
Right.
don't know, that you
Yeah.
meet for coffee, let them be. And I'm like, let people be from outside the industry. Like it's amazing. The more
Different
diversity of
perspectives. Yeah.
thought and perspective, it'll really open your eyes up.
That's cool. You mentioned a feedback loop from CSRs, technicians, the front lines.
Mhm.
How do you connect those two dots from like front lines to management?
Yeah, so a little bit of is selecting the right, I mean, it's just selecting the right people that we have open communication with, that they've had enough exposure and experience to truly Nolan. So we're kind of cherry picking people that have oftentimes that are trainers. So they're the best of the best. They also might have just great communication skills, because sometimes they're the ones also being implementers on the other side of that. And a lot of times I'm thinking about, okay, I might want a perspective from different states or different markets as
Yeah,
well.
interesting. Yeah.
So we might say, okay, I'd like, two technicians from the Southwest Arizona market, and I'd like three technicians from Texas. And, I want a couple salespeople. And you know, I know a good amount of our people, but more importantly, our leaders know their people, and so they oftentimes recommend, hey, we're looking for this person for this topic, and we're looking for feedback. So whether we're kind of like cherry picking a committee or we're just I mean, there's also a lot of things you can do with like sending out surveys and getting feedback. I think sometimes you got to be a little bit careful with that because if you don't go with what the uh with what the group says, like it can be very confusing for people. It's like, wait a second, we all saw that we voted blue and you guys went purple. Like, what happened?
You have a mutiny on your hands.
Yeah, you got a mutiny on it. So you have to kind of be you have to be really intentional with that. Um, but we also, when we roll something out, when we're testing something, we're not going to test. We're not going to just roll something out to the whole company. We're
Right.
definitely running pilots, and those pilots can be a month
Agreed.
long, 3 months long, and we oftentimes have people volunteer. Hey, do you want to be a part of a pilot? Because it can be really disruptive. And a lot of times people want to, and we try to work with the people that want to be a part of the pilot. And we ran a like I can think of a pilot that we ran in Texas and they wanted to be a part of it. And so we set up we had an executive sponsor for that pilot program and we said, "Okay, give us all the feedback." And the so the executive team was really looped in on that from the frontline feedback on a weekly basis, almost.
That's one of the things that I love too is when you find a branch that we talked about culture earlier, everyone runs a little bit different, and you find something that works extremely well in that branch, like, oh, that is awesome. We should
Yeah.
try that in a second branch. And then you're like, oh, it works great in both branches, like I said, a north and a south. And all of a sudden you can deploy that to all locations and it just helps everyone, which is great.
Mhm.
Which is what I love at the point where we're at. It's really, really cool. I have what is your, like, as CEO, president, what is your day to day like?
I get this question asked more and more
I'm gonna go
lately.
deeper than this.
I
This
know,
is
I'm
just
like,
the
I
first
really
part.
need a good answer. It changes every day.
Right, I get it.
So I spend a lot of time doing one-on-ones with my executive team. So I've got executives that run different departments, and like this morning, I spent a good amount of time with my head of HR, and we were brainstorming and looking at different personality assessments. And we were talking about that. Later this afternoon, I'm going to be meeting with my controller, doing a one-on-one with him, and we're going to be talking about uh and he doesn't know it yet, so but I'll tell you. We're gonna be talking about um what messaging we have behind different reporting and what is just letting out a bunch of data, but how can we really shape that messaging behind just the infinite number of data points that we have available to us these days. So those one-on-ones look a little bit different with each individual, but I dive into different departments every day, which for my personality type is great.
Me too.
Like,
Same.
but that might feel chaotic for other people.
Yeah, but that's
But I
where I
love.
thrive.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I can't just have a hard time just focusing on one thing for a week or a day. I just not who I am.
Yeah, there's one thing I do wanna share with people. There's one thing that I do there's one constant that I have every single day, and I encourage frontline people I encourage everybody to do this, is I find something new to learn every single day. So whether that's, like, the Harvard Business Review, I read a blog, or I just find one thing, and sometimes that one thing is just going and sitting having conversation with a team member and
Yeah.
learning from them. Like, it really doesn't matter what it is. I have no consistency on what it is. It can be learning about a new insect, it can be learning about a new business insight, but I am committed to I don't I have to learn one new thing every single day, before I go home.
I love that. And same, I do the same thing. Like I read every single day. I usually read about an hour in the morning just to try to learn as well. And then one of the things that I ran across is like if you're feeling some type of way, like and you're feeling like passionate about something, or you really want to let someone know that you're having a thought or a feeling about that person, like don't go days without doing it. Or you think of it, just send it out right then. So this morning I spent like a good hour all my leadership team and all my like partners, like whether that's from the partners that we we buy product from, partners that we do marketing with, and just partners in general and managers. I sent them all a video message this morning, just
I
showing like,
love
hey, I
that.
appreciate you guys. Yeah, so just something simple, it goes such a long way for everyone.
I might steal that.
You should. It went. I did it just because I was feeling that type of way this morning. Don't do it all the time, but it's like, what? I just want to let everyone know that I love them, that I care about them. Like, as people don't care about you until they care about you, or that you care about them. And then once they know that they care, that you care about them, they'll run through a wall for you.
I love that.
So I sent out a quick video message to all my partners, mentors, coaches in the past. Like I said, it's about how we're doing it, but it made me feel good. Hopefully, and I think it brightened their day too. So I'm gonna circle back to your day today. 2 more questions there. So I'm running out of time already. Only got 15 minutes left. What has been your best day?
Oh my gosh. That's a really great.
You know what's coming next, right?
Oh, my worst day. My best day. I don't know. My best day. That's really tough. Well, I just got back from our President's Club trip like a week or two ago. And our President's Club trip, we often take our top people on a cruise. We were in the Bahamas, and the obviously being in the Bahamas on a cruise is lovely, but the actual best part about it was during our awards ceremony on the boat, people are just sharing stories, and they do this every year, but there was something incredibly special about this year. People just sharing stories about their experience and their careers at Truly Nolen. It was so touching. And it gave me an incredible sense of pride and joy, and just like, I don't know, it just re-energized, not that I needed a re-energizing, but it just gave me this just such excitement for and passion for the business and making sure they all succeeded in their careers. And so that was pretty cool. Just like hearing people's journeys is always really exciting. Um my worst, do you want to ask me the next one?
Of course. I don't even need to ask because you already know what's coming.
The worst day? Oh man.
The day you sign as president. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no.
The COVID hits.
The COVID hitting was very uncertain, I would say.
Right.
That was a
I think we all felt very uncertain at the time.
Yeah, and I know I wish I had less of a trite answer, but that was there was that 2-week period before we were deemed essential. Yeah, like it was just, am I going to take this third generations aren't known for their success. So I was like, man, I've been president for like 2 months. like, is the company going to go under in man, she's been president for 2 months and then just is going to implode. Like that wasn't a great feeling. I fortunately had phenomenal people established on the executive team. I had one of my right-hand people, Mark Ringlesetter, and he was a champion of safety and logistics and navigating 99% of getting through and really being a leader through COVID. But it was just super unknown. Like, it was as much as experience as Truly Nolen has had through I want to think every scenario in the world of pest control. Obviously not a global pandemic. Like, that was obviously an unknown.
So scary times for everyone. So yeah.
Scary times. Anytime I hear of an accident, that's not a good feeling. Like a ladder accident, car accident, those are darker days.
Yeah, I think that the 30 to 50 million, 20 million plus, it's like, I feel like that's probably what weighs on most owners at that scale, because they have so many trucks on the road, so many technicians, and there's constantly accidents, deaths, whether that be technicians or family members. I think that's where it takes the toll on most people.
Yeah, the liability definitely changes, and depending what state you're in, that can also have a bigger weight as well. The bigger you are, unfortunately, the bigger sometimes the target you are.
100%.
What a fender bender used to be 10 years ago is different than it is today. And
We found that out the hard way too.
yeah, it sucks. And yeah, liability just isn't what it used to be. And I feel like the world of litigation, it takes some really great companies and some really great operators and successful ones at that. And unfortunately, it's one of the biggest threats to your business is that liability. And the bigger you get, the more liability management and the bigger part of your running your business it is. So you're thinking maybe less about new customers and more about liability management, which is unfortunate, and it's the legal world that we live in.
For sure. In your world, what is the perfect branch?
Ooh.
Revenue wise, profit
Oh,
wise.
okay.
All just give me your perfect scenario for the perfect branch. If you could have every single location across Truly Nolen, this just like this, what would it be?
12% growth
Cool. Every year?
every year. If they're 2 million or 5 million, 12% growth, golden goose, just growing at a steady rate. Um, when people hit those 30% numbers, it's really hard to sustain.
Yeah.
And it becomes a
Just
little bit
capital
volatile.
wise.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really volatile and it's hard to sustain. And people get burnt out and stuff. But that beautiful 12% double digit growth, double digit earning, like it just things can really gain momentum um, in a nice way. And when you go from that 3 million to 4 million at a single location, there's a lot of financial upswing when you get past that $3 million hump.
For sure. This is probably going to be a really hard question too. But if you were starting Truly Known over today, what's one thing that you do completely different from day one?
I might consider it an ESOP.
Nice, I
So
like that. Yeah, we did that 2 years ago. Yeah, that's awesome.
we the logistic, not to get into it, but the logistics behind that are impossible at this point. But if I was like to green screen it, I think this industry could be really right for ESOP.
1,000% sure. We did that 2 years ago. Thankfully, we did early on because
Yeah, you
as
got
we
to do
scale,
it
it's
in the
only to get
beginning.
harder. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't do it later on. You got to do it in the beginning. I'm surprised we don't see more of them. Um, but yeah, I think we're ripe for
I
that.
love that answer. That's cool.
To feel that sense of ownership. I think that would be that feeling of sense of ownership, I think can go a long way.
Yeah. So how that happened to me was I actually read Sam Walton's book.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
talks about
Yeah.
basically how he started Walmart and how it was basically all employee owned. And I heard that I'm like, I love that idea. We're gonna move forward with that. So that's actually how it happened.
Very cool. Very cool.
Great book. This is a personal question for me that I had saved for the end. A person at where we're at today. What's my biggest blind spot?
What's yours?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know what yours is.
So we're gonna go from like 20 locations. I want to have 100 locations the next 5 years. What are my
Okay.
blind spots?
What is your biggest blind spot?
I'm
I
counting on
mean,
you here.
it
Just teasing
honestly,
you.
I mean, it sounds like you're thinking of all the right things. I would say, don't underestimate the impact of liability that can change. That can change your world in a day.
Yep, I agree.
So that, no, I hate to like scare people. That can change your world in a
And
day.
I think that's why a lot of people go PE too, right?
Yeah.
Because they have the money to financially back them at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say cautionary tales on PEs. I haven't found too many people that love their decision that went to PEs. Gotta be careful. I know you have a lot of listeners. But
No, and that's okay. But I think, but it's okay not to be status quo. Like you don't have to like agree with everything everyone does. It's okay to push back. Like you guys didn't do it, but this is one of the reasons why so many people are forced into PE because they want the protection.
they're forced into PE. They get a lot of shiny tools and they're sold really well.
For
And
sure.
the
Yeah.
reality is the value that the PE is going to bring might not be really the value to your business or the industry that you think it's going to be. But PEs have phenomenal salespeople in them, and just really cautionary tale on falling victim to a PE. But all or maybe the wrong P, I should say. But
So just really watch liability. Make sure we double down on liability going forward.
liability, culture, and don't hold on to people that don't fit your culture, that don't have your value system. Don't hold on to them. If they don't fit your values, they're 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 holding you back.
Love that. Wrapping this up because we only got 4 minutes left. What are you most proud of?
Ooh. I'm I'm really, really proud of something I established back in 2020, and that's what we call the yellow standard. So the yellow standard is something we've launched internally, and that's all about creating exceptional customer experience. You can grow and grow and grow, especially when you got P blank checks coming at you. But what's important to me at Truly Nolen is that we stay true to our quality integrity, and launching the yellow standard. It's something that I took from the gold standard from the Ritz-Carlton, inspired by the gold standard from the Ritz-Carlton. And it really is my mission to create a phenomenal hospitality experience
love
within the
that,
world
yeah.
of service.
Same here. Love it. I like to go to like different restaurants and super high-end restaurants and just watch how they operate, read their books, how they like same like Ritz-Carlton, stay there about a month ago, see how their culture was, see what they do, see how they onboard us, see how they bring us like again, just if we can have that same hospitality in the service industry and have super low churn, because again, it's way more expensive to get new customers than it is to keep the ones you have. And I feel like majority of this industry is like they do all the work up front. They're really good at sales, really good at marketing. Then the CSRs get paid by the hour. They're not incentivized to keep the customer. They're more incentivized just to talk on the phone and hang up on them or whatever it may be. But I could not agree with you more. Like churn is one of the biggest changes in business. If you can change, even if you can change your churn from 20% to 15%, it's a game
It's
changer.
huge.
Yeah, 25% of your bottom line overnight.
Absolutely. There's a recent book that I'll leave you with. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Love it. That's the restaurant that I went to.
Oh, no kidding.
I watched him speak twice, and so I went to
Oh
his
my
restaurant in
gosh.
New York. Yeah,
Okay.
11 Madison, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I listened to that and I was like, that it's all about, for the listeners, it's all about just these insane restaurant experiences, like things that you get in New York City, like things that you just don't see very often.
Yeah, so the Ritz that I stayed at was in New York, and then we went to 11 Madison just for the experience to get to I wanted to take from those big companies that are really good, not only at branding but at also like just being really good at customer service. So that's like, if I can take just few pieces from them and put it into our model, I think
And
it'd
harness
be
it.
awesome.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Cool. Well, I'm up with my time, but I just want to say thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and knowledge, and appreciate everything you do for the industry.
Thank you so much.
And talk to you soon. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.